Yuri was just another ordinary young guy, a real nobody, until he was suddenly parachuted into Sika Academy, a prestigious school where only geniuses and prodigies develop extraordinary abilities. But his life gets completely turned upside down when he finds himself forced to live with the 3 hottest and smartest girls in the school. And with no way out, his destiny now is to have talented children with them. It all starts at Sika Academy, a place where talented youths hone their skills to shine. And that's where our protagonist, Yuri, has just transferred. But on the very first day, he gets beaten up by the vice captain of the martial arts club. While everyone watches, the guy rubs it in Yuri's face that he's a weakling, a boring loser. The crowd around doesn't hold back. Everyone mocks Yuri for not even coming close to his mother, Subaru, a super famous actress, practically an icon of perfection. The cocky vice captain tells Yuri to show some talent to the school's 3 kings, the top students at Sika. But Yuri, pissed off, snaps back, yelling at them to stop comparing him to his mother. On impulse, he charges at the vice captain, but without any protection from the anime gods, his punch is way too weak, and he ends up getting thrown to the ground like he's nothing. The audience looks on in disdain, shocked at how pathetic the son of the great Subaru is. Even humiliated, Yuri gets up and reflects on how he's already used to being treated like a failure next to his mom. Suddenly, he delivers one of those big speeches telling the vice captain to stop idolizing talent so much. And for a moment, the guy actually hesitates, realizing that Yuri has a sort of magnetic charm, just like his mother. But Yuri couldn't care less what people think. He just shrugs, turns his back, and walks away, unfazed by the defeat. The vice captain, however, doesn't let it go. He thinks Yuri needs a beating to awaken some talent. But before he can touch the boy, he gets kicked by Miko, the president of the martial arts club and one of the academy's 3 kings, the biggest legend in fighting around. As if that wasn't enough, the other 2 kings show up out of nowhere, leaving everyone speechless. There's Miwa, the top student in the advanced program and a rising chess star, and Kazuki, the stunning girl who shines in the arts department and kills it as a theater actor. Yuri is terrified, not understanding why the 3 elites are there. Kazuki steps forward, and when she finds out Yuri has no talent, she bluntly says, "You don't belong in a school full of talented people like us." Confused, they watch as Yuri shows proof of enrollment in the general education course. The kings don't get it, because to them, only the elite programs matter, and this so-called general education is like a parallel universe. Seeing the less than welcoming reception, Yuri tries to take off and head to his class, but Miko stops him and tells him to clean the dojo. He grumbles that he's not anyone's servant, but Miko fires back with that no-nonsense tone. "Losers clean the dojo. It's the rule." A bit begrudgingly, Yuri starts cleaning. Later, when the martial arts team returns, they're stunned to see the dojo sparkling clean. Meanwhile, Yuri is on his way to the house where he'll be living, lost in thought. Since he was little, he dreamed of being praised like his mother, a star beyond reach. He even tried acting, thinking he was at action hero level. But when he saw his mom on screen, with a presence worthy of a genius, he realized he wasn't even close. Yuri tried everything to show some talent, but every failure only pushed him further from his mother. When Subaru fell seriously ill, he realized how distant he'd become from the only family he had. In the hospital, she kept re-watching a series where she played a mom in a happy family. Yuri admitted he loved the show, and Subaru said she did too. When he mentioned liking the family dinner scenes, she smiled and said those were her favorites too. That's when Yuri understood. Despite all her talent, his mother's biggest wish was to have a family like the one in the show. Before he could fulfill that dream with her, Subaru passed away, leaving a letter asking him to find his own happy family. Not really sure how to do that, Yuri is now determined to chase after that dream and make up for lost time with his mother. Arriving at the house where he'll be living, he's stunned to see a gorgeous mansion, breathtakingly beautiful. But out of nowhere, Miko shows up wrapped in a towel and attacks him, thinking he's a burglar. Yuri shouts that he's not a criminal, and she demands an explanation. Suddenly, she slips and falls to the floor in a rather compromising position. Instead of helping, Yuri, with a touch of irony, throws a towel over her head and starts drying her hair while she tries to stop him. He just tells her to calm down, and somewhat unintentionally, she lets him continue. Suddenly, the other 2 kings of Sika Academy, Miwa and Kazuki, show up at the mansion exhausted after a long day. They corner Yuri, demanding to know what the hell he's doing there. Yuri himself is confused, having no idea why the school's 3 biggest stars are in the same house as him. At that moment, his phone rings. It's the owner of the mansion, who explains that Yuri will be living there as a favor in memory of his mother, Subaru. The guy says he has 3 daughters living in the house. Guess who? The 3 kings. He hopes Yuri gets along with them and manages to show some talent to keep his mother's legacy alive. But for Yuri, the dream of building a happy family starts to go down the drain when the sisters make it clear they don't want him there. "You've got to be kidding. Dad brought a loser into the house?" they complain, saying they won't take care of an intruder. Despite the cold welcome, Yuri doesn't give up. He still believes he can win the girls over and build a united family. Suddenly, he spots something on the floor, but Kazuki is quicker and snatches it first. Looking around, Yuri realizes the house is a mess. Dirty dishes piled up in the sink, clutter everywhere. The girls blame Kazuki, who was supposed to do the dishes, but she defends herself, saying she was busy rehearsing for theater. But Yuri finds some broken plates hidden away, proof that Kazuki did try to wash them, but was so clumsy she broke everything. She turns red with embarrassment, trying to explain herself. Miwa shows up with a pile of dirty laundry, and the sisters reveal that she was the one who was supposed to take care of the laundry, but as usual, she blew it off. Annoyed, Miwa tells Yuri to do it instead, and he calmly agrees without complaining. He even points out that Miko was supposed to clean the house, and she failed miserably too. Tired of the jabs, Miko snaps, saying he has no right to talk, being a total nobody at school. While the three lay into him, Yuri doesn't waste time. He starts cleaning everything. To their surprise, by the time they're done mocking him, the house is spotless. Miko remembers he was the one who left the dojo sparkling clean at school. And with a charming smile, Yuri winks at them, leaving the girls flustered. They quickly huddle together, admitting that even if he's useless, at least he's kinda cute. The next morning, Yuri's in a good mood, happy to have a day off. But suddenly, the house starts shaking. He finds out Miko's in the dojo, training like there's no tomorrow. In the living room, he finds Miwa already at the chessboard, battling an AI and fuming in frustration. In the kitchen, Kazuki is preparing some green juice that looks like it belongs in a mad scientist's lab. Curious, Yuri asks what's going on, and Kazuki explains that this is their morning routine. It's like brushing your teeth, you know? Each of us does what we need to shine. She tells him they're heading out and asks Yuri to look after the house. Wanting to bring the sisters together, he suggests they have breakfast together, but Kazuki shuts it down, saying she needs to rush to rehearsal. Yuri tries to convince Miwa, but finds her munching on snacks while playing chess. When he tries to step in, he feels an intense energy coming from her. It reminds him of his mother's presence. Yuri remembers how Subaru always refused his breakfast invites, preferring prepackaged meals to maintain her star-level diet. Suddenly, Miko appears straight from training, drooling over Yuri's delicious food. But when he offers, she refuses, saying his food isn't nutritious enough. Confused, Yuri asks why they make such a big deal out of breakfast, and she explains, "To be the best, I have to eat the best." He begins to understand that, unlike him, who's just an ordinary person, prodigies like his mother and the sisters are so obsessed with improvement, they even control what they eat. Miwa, for example, devours sweets to feed her brain while playing. Suddenly, the three sisters rush out to start their day. Yuri stops them, saying they forgot something. They panic, digging through their bags, thinking they lost something. But Yuri, with a warm smile, gives them a sweet goodbye, saying that's what was missing. The girls are stunned. No one's ever said goodbye to them so affectionately. Though they call it silly, they walk off with blushing cheeks trying to hide their smiles. Shortly after, the girl's father calls Yuri to check in on how he's doing. He asks a favor, that Yuri be a support for his daughters because even though they're geniuses, they're going to face tough times, and helping them might open their hearts to him. The girl's father lets Yuri know that Kazuki has a tough audition coming up. Miko is competing in a martial arts tournament, and Miwa has commitments with shogi, which opens the door for him to help out. But Yuri doesn't get how someone like him, a guy with no talent or usefulness, could ever be of help to geniuses like them. However, when he imagines the girls failing at what they do best, he can't help but remember the pain he felt when he failed and became his mother's disappointment. So he decides to try helping however he can, starting by getting closer to them through meals. Later, after training, Miko gets home and finds Yuri cooking, and screams, forgetting they live together. When she sees him tasting his own food, she blurts out how attractive he looks. Yuri offers her a bite. Though tempted, she regains control and refuses, saying she won't be won over by food. She goes to take a beauty bath. When she returns, she's surprised to find Yuri cooking with even more dedication, surrounded by cookbooks. That's when Miwa walks into the kitchen, and Yuri announces he's going to prepare the best meals for them. But the girls ignore him. This makes Miko remember how she and her sisters always rejected the maid's food. She believed she had to control everything she ate to keep her body in shape. But in the middle of chewing some dry chicken breast, Miko gets curious and peeks at Yuri's dish. She starts drooling just looking at the sophisticated plate he made, and Yuri appears right behind her. He enthusiastically explains that the food contains all the right nutrients to keep her body flawless. After some insistence, Miko agrees to try it. Yuri collapses with exhaustion and says he prepared everything based on nutritionists' advice, just for her. That makes Miko blush. When she tastes the food, she praises the flavor, and Yuri imagines he's taming a stray cat with a saucer of milk. Meanwhile, Miwa watches in secret, drooling. When she decides to show herself, Yuri also approaches her, saying he prepared dishes with the perfect acids to supercharge her brain. Miwa agrees to try it, and Miko realizes Yuri thought through every detail of Miwa's needs too. As they eat, the sisters comment on how long it's been since they last ate together, and Yuri smiles hearing that. Suddenly, Kazuki shows up and is surprised to see her sisters gathered. Just like before, Yuri starts explaining the health and talent benefits of the food, saying it'll make her skin perfect for theater. But to his surprise, Kazuki coldly refuses. Miko tries to defend him, but Kazuki says that having family dinners just isn't her thing. Yuri feels like a cat rejected a meal. He's crushed, and Miko feels sorry, knowing how hard he tried. So, she takes the plate from his hands and eats it herself. But Yuri accidentally blurts out that Kazuki's dish has a lot of carbs and could make her gain weight, which pisses Miko off. She was just trying to help. Yuri quickly softens the situation, saying he can help her manage her diet. Miko turns bright red. 3 days later, Yuri starts classes. Still thinking about how to get closer to Kazuki and fulfill their father's wish of helping them, he decides the best way is to face her head-on. He approaches her in the middle of a swarm of fangirls. The girls recognize him as the talentless loser, and Kazuki joins the teasing, asking him not to get close to her because his mediocrity dims her shine. Suddenly, Yuri begs her to accept his special little gift, something only he can give her that will make her really happy, clearly referring to food. The girls have no idea what he means, thinking he's flirting with her. Kazuki, dying of embarrassment, says he's making the girls misunderstand everything and that he'll pay for it when they get home. That only worsens her situation, making the fans even more suspicious, believing Kazuki is in some kind of relationship with Yuri. He seizes the moment and runs off. He then looks for Miko to ask for help with Kazuki. But when he calls her, she can only think about how he makes her flustered. Her friends confront Yuri for getting too close, but Miko appears with such an intimidating aura that everyone backs off. Yuri then runs to his last hope, Miwa. Meanwhile, Miwa is in class playing shogi on her phone. When she hears some classmates struggling with a math problem, she solves it easily. But instead of admiration, she gets intimidated looks for being so smart. When Yuri arrives, he realizes that, unlike her sisters and just like at home, Miwa is super quiet at school. Yuri tries to start a conversation with Miwa and invites her to have lunch with him, but she refuses and walks off without looking back. Even so, Yuri insists and starts chasing after her all over campus, causing a ridiculous pursuit just because he wanted to share a meal. In the end, both of them collapse from exhaustion, and Yuri realizes that Miwa is just as bad at sports as he is. He comments on how quiet she is in class, and Miwa confesses that being one of the 3 main sisters, she finds it hard to connect and talk about girl stuff. Yuri says he gets it since he would be nobility too, which annoys Miwa, so he declares himself a royal failure, someone who fails at everything. At that moment, Miwa giggles and calls him silly. With the mood lighter, they finally eat together. Miwa then reveals that if he wants to get close to Kazuki, he needs to figure out what her favorite food is. She remembers that when they were little, Kazuki asked their mom to make something special. Yuri gets it. Her favorite food is their mother's cooking. Later, Yuri tries to prepare something special, but Kazuki walks in and faints in front of him. They find out she has a high fever. The sisters try to help, but she kicks everyone out of her room. Yuri doesn't give up and plans to send meals to her, but Kazuki rejects all of them, saying they're terrible. Frustrated, he barges into her room with his dish. When she tries to throw him out, she's so weak she collapses onto him. Yuri warns her that if she keeps this up, she'll miss rehearsals and offers to be her acting partner until she gets better. He brags about being the son of the great actress Subaru and acting since he was a kid, which makes Kazuki wonder if she's in front of a natural talent. But the moment he starts reciting lines, he sounds like a dying cow and gets kicked out. Still, he doesn't give up and comes back day after day trying to be her scene partner, always getting kicked out. This annoys Kazuki, who is always flawless, as she watches someone so clumsy and flawed. One night she comes downstairs and finds Yuri watching all her performances on TV and rehearsing lines to improve. That touches Kazuki, and even though Yuri is still a bad actor, she recognizes his effort. Next day, Yuri tries again to be her scene partner, but after what Kazuki saw, she doesn't kick him out and begins to act with him. This moves Yuri, and to their surprise, he actually nails one of the lines. He cries, overwhelmed, talking to his mom about finally being able to act after so many years. Kazuki feels envious of his passion for his own struggles. She admits defeat and agrees to eat his food to recover. Yuri celebrates and promises to make an unforgettable dish, but Kazuki interrupts with a request. Before speaking, she curls up in embarrassment in bed. After gathering courage, she says she doesn't like carrots, mushrooms, bell peppers, and a bunch of other things. Yuri realizes that in the end, Kazuki was just a picky eater. The next morning, Miwa and Miko are stunned to see Kazuki eating dinner with them after refusing so many times. Yuri praises Kazuki for cleaning her plate, and she says she's fine eating as long as there are no carrots. But he whispers in her ear that he blended the carrots into the sauce, making her panic. Yuri feels all proud, thinking he's tamed the 3 kitty cats with his cooking. But suddenly the girls say he doesn't need to make dinner. When he asks why, they explain that they're heading out for their training and commitments. As they leave, Yuri remembers how his mom used to do the same, go weeks without eating at home, which cooled their relationship. He realizes even more that, like his mom, the 3 sisters are brilliant and obsessed, while he's still a useless guy with no talent for anything. He recalls the father's request for him to be a support for his daughters and his mother's wish for him to build a happy family, but quickly realizes he doesn't even know what defines a happy family anymore. Do me a favor, just leave me alone. Then, he puts on his mother's old TV show, where she played a loving mom in an affectionate family, and ends up smiling at all the tenderness on screen. In the storyline, the family is preparing a symbolic wedding to show their kids. Seeing his own mother in a wedding dress brings a strange knot to Yuri's chest. That's when the 3 sisters arrive home after their training. When Kazuki sees Yuri with teary eyes and notices what he's watching, she quickly assumes he's missing his mom a lot. She gently approaches him and says he doesn't have to keep doing chores just to win their sympathy. The others agree, saying he's just an intruder, but that hits a nerve with Yuri. He stands up and says he doesn't want to be just someone who lives off others. He shares how, for a long time, he thought the talent gap between him and his mom was too wide for them to bond. But over time, he realized they had much in common. It was just that, before they could reconnect, Subaru passed away. He doesn't want that to happen again with the sisters. He declares that he wants to build a happy family with them. Everyone is stunned. Miko says that's insane and asks what the plan is to make it work. On TV, the scene shows Subaru's wedding with her fictional husband, and suddenly, the girls understand everything. Yuri could have a happy family by marrying them. They start imagining themselves in wedding dresses, but quickly get irritated and shout that he'll never be their husband. Later, while taking a bath, Miko wonders how Yuri manages to stay so focused even while living with 3 pretty girls. Suddenly, Yuri screams, and Miko goes to check on him. She finds him crying over something silly and scolds him for ruining her relaxing moment. He responds by saying she should cover up more, so she doesn't catch a cold. Leaving Miko flustered, she bolts back to the bathroom. In the hallway, she bumps into Miwa, who notices her blushing face and finds it strange. Miko tries to play it cool, but Miwa suspects it has something to do with Yuri. He shows up holding Miko's freshly washed clothes. When Miwa grabs them, their hands touch and she jumps, dropping everything. Miko quickly comments on Miwa's red face and asks if she likes Yuri too. Miwa angrily denies it, and the two start arguing, swearing they feel nothing for him. Suddenly, Kazuki appears and mocks them for fighting over a loser like Yuri. But right after, Yuri asks Kazuki for help putting a pot away on a high shelf. She helps naturally. Afterward, Yuri thanks her with a smile, and even though she tries to keep her cool, Kazuki blushes. The others notice. That sparks yet another argument among the girls. Yuri steps in and scolds them, saying they're fighting without even knowing why, which only makes them even more annoyed. After they storm off, Yuri realizes the house is a mess again, which frustrates him. But remembering their shared meals, he feels proud of the small progress. Out of nowhere, he finds an old photo of the sisters as kids and can't believe how cute and precious they looked. He realizes the photo belongs to one of them, but none admit it. He understands that the one hiding it must miss how things used to be, and just like him, wishes for a real family. The next day, before he can find out who it belongs to, the sisters announce they're leaving for the weekend because of tournaments and commitments, leaving Yuri without an answer. However, by checking each of their destinations, he gets an idea to bring them together. At night, he prepares warm milk for them and reveals that he reserved hotel rooms for their events. Miwa complains, saying she hates hotel food, and Yuri teases her, saying she'll miss his cooking. Miwa gets flustered, and the others, though silent, think the same. The next day, they head off to face their challenges. Miwa arrives at the shogi tournament and destroys her opponents, showing why she's considered a true prodigy. Later, on the way to the hotel, Miwa passes by a cherry blossom festival and remembers the day she went there with her sisters. When she arrives at the hotel, to her surprise, Kazuki is there too. While checking in, they ask each other what they're doing in the same place. Suddenly, Miko shows up too, wondering why they're in her hotel. That's when they realize that, without knowing it, they all ended up in the same city for their events. That's when Yuri appears, clearly frustrated that they didn't even know where each other had gone. He then reveals that they'll all be staying in the same room. The girls ask why, and he explains it's a great chance for them to spend their free time as real sisters sharing a room. Afterward, He proudly calls himself the festival guide and suggests they all visit the Cherry Blossom Festival just like they used to. But instead of getting excited, the girls yell at him for coming up with a crazy idea right before their big competitions. Yuri tries to convince them by saying there's a temple at the festival that brings good luck. Miko mocks him, saying real champions don't need that. But then Yuri shows them that legends like Messi, LeBron, Emin, and even Johnny Sins have visited that shrine for luck, which changes their reaction. Next, he shows pictures of the festival's local foods, and the girls admit they look way better than the hotel food. Kazuki is the first to agree to go, but demands that everyone wear stylish outfits if they want to walk with her. So Yuri takes them to a kimono rental shop. The shop owner is shocked to see the famous Madonna sisters in her store. Without wasting time, she dresses each of them in the finest kimonos available, transforming them into true Japanese beauties. But Yuri notices that Miko has been left out, not wanting to participate. He tries to convince her to pick one of the many beautiful kimonos, but she refuses. That's when the shop owner suggests a blue kimono that would match her sporty vibe. However, this reminds Miko of how, in the past, she wanted to wear more delicate clothes, but was always forced to appear more masculine. At that moment, Yuri picks a pink kimono, very feminine, just for her. Even though the shop owner and the sisters think that style doesn't suit Miko, Yuri insists she'll look stunning in it, leaving Miko speechless. She finally agrees to try it on, and when she steps out in the outfit, everyone is left in awe by how gorgeous she looks. She's breathtaking, wearing a look any man on the planet would fight to win over. A short time later, as soon as Mal steps into the festival, Kazuki is already surrounded by a crowd of frenzied fans, screaming and praising every scene she's ever done as an actress. Her sisters, Nico and Miwa, and their friend Yu, are kind of left on the sidelines, just watching the commotion. Yu is visibly bothered because the plan was for Kazuki to spend some quality time with her sisters. But seeing how she's in her element, shining in the middle of the crowd, he decides not to interfere. Only among the fans, there's a girl who just isn't buying the hype around Kazuki. Annoyed at seeing her own friend melting over the actress, she's like, "I'm out," and starts to leave. But on the way, her sandal decides to betray her. It breaks at the worst possible moment, and she almost goes down. In a movie-worthy move, Kazuki appears out of nowhere, catches the girl like a gallant prince, and lifts her with a charm that could leave anyone speechless. The girl, who until then had been turning up her nose, starts to rethink everything, her heart a little shaken. Kazuki sets her down with a smile, and the fans around are even more enchanted. But when she's heading back into the crowd, she's suddenly pulled behind some bushes. Who is it? Yu, of course, holding a snack, insisting she should enjoy the festival for real. Kazuki lets out a sarcastic little laugh, like, "Seriously?" But Yu isn't kidding around. He notices her feet, all bruised from the tight sandal straps, and says, kind of seriously, that he knows how much it must hurt. She teases him, calling him a weirdo for noticing that kind of thing, but Yu is fed up with her pride and practically forces her to accept a bandage. When he sees the state of her feet, he's shocked at the damage and scolds her for not asking for help. Kazuki, all smug, says she needs to be everyone's prince, and princes don't show weakness. Yu bursts out laughing at her logic and says, "Even the strongest princes need a little help sometimes." He asks for her foot, and to everyone's surprise, she lets him, like it's the most natural thing in the world. Yu applies the bandage gently, easing her pain. Meanwhile, Nico and Miwa are in the middle of a fish-catching competition, with Nico getting completely owned by the little fish, unable to catch a single one. Suddenly, Kazuki and Yu show up, and the sisters burst out laughing at the sight of Kazuki wearing a ridiculous mask. Yu explains it so she won't draw so much attention. They join the fun and split into teams to see who can catch more fish. Miwa, with her teasing style, tells Kazuki to keep the mask on because, according to her, her sister's face always looks like she ate something she didn't like, and at least the mask makes her look lighter. After a few rounds, the girls are fully into the competition, and Yu, no match for their fire, takes a step back to plan the next moment of the day. He heads to the festival's main event, a crazy challenge of crossing a lake by stepping on lotus leaves, with the prize being unbeatable luck and a photo with the golden guardian of the temple, a special memory the three sisters had once shared and that Yu wants to bring back. But it's not that simple. Right from the start, one competitor plunges into the water, and everyone realizes that some leaves just sink. One by one, participants fall into the drink. The organizers, watching, remember how the three sisters aced this challenge in the past. It's Yu's turn. And guess what? He falls in too. But unlike the others, he's stubborn as can be. He tries again and again, even with the crowd around getting worried about his persistence. An hour later, A heavy rain starts, and Yu is still there, falling and getting back up, refusing to give up. The organizers even try to give him the victory because everyone else has dropped out. But Yu won't take the easy way out. He closes his eyes and imagines how the sisters won before, combining their strengths. With a mix of faith, grit, and a little push from the anime gods, he tries one last time and miraculously crosses the lake to the end. The crowd cheers and the organizers congratulate him, inviting him to take the photo. But Yu asks for a moment and runs to get the sisters. Only when he gets there, the festival is empty. It closed early because of the rain. He blames himself, thinking he was selfish, focusing on the competition and forgetting the sisters didn't even want to be there that much. But suddenly, the three of them appear, umbrellas open, shielding him from the rain. He's stunned they didn't leave, and they, with mischievous smiles, say they're not so cold-hearted as to abandon their friend. Kazuki nudges Yu, reminding him that he's the boss of the festival outing and needs to keep killing it. That gives him a boost of energy. Seeing Yu drenched and slumped on the ground, the three sisters, in one spontaneous gesture, offer him their umbrellas. They blush furiously, realizing they all want the same thing, to walk close to him, holding his hand. To decide who gets Yu's company, they resort to good old rock, paper, scissors, but deep down, each is rooting to lose. Nico loses, and as she walks beside him, feels her heart racing so fast it might burst. Back at the hotel, the sisters relax together in an outdoor bath. After what happened earlier, Nico starts wondering why she got so nervous around Yu. Without even realizing, she starts fiddling with her magic cannons, imagining what size would catch his attention the most. Miwa and Kazuki crack up, teasing that her charms will never beat their superpowers. When they get out of the bath, they run into Yu, still all dirty and looking kind of lost. They ask what happened, and he sheepishly admits he forgot to book a room for himself, too focused on making their day special. He waves goodbye, saying he'll make do with his friends on the street, but Kazuki doesn't let him take even one step. In the blink of an eye, Yu is staying with them. The sisters put their foot down. They won't let him be alone, especially since they already share the house normally. Yu thanks them, moved, and says he needs to find a robe to take a shower. He bumps into Kazuki, who's also looking for one, and she gets all flustered with him so close. Miwa tries to help find the robe, but when Yu comes near, she catches that manly scent and almost faints from nerves. Then Nico comes in, finding a robe on a high shelf. Since she's short, Yu stretches over her to grab it, and she catches his cologne, almost losing it right there. When Yu heads to the shower, the sisters are in an uproar, knowing things are getting dangerous. That night, none of them can sleep, aware that it's because Yu is in the same room, but they convince themselves it's just the excitement from the festival competitions. Meanwhile, Yu is perfectly fine, happy with how the day went. He remembers how hard it was to make the sisters smile for the photo at the start, but when he got even wetter by accident, they burst out laughing, and he got the perfect shot. He feels proud for recreating the old photo, but when he looks for it, he sees it's gone, with a note saying the true owner took it back. Curiously, he's not upset. On the contrary, he feels that one of the sisters is genuinely grateful for the trip, and that makes him fall asleep with a smile on his face. Suddenly, the sisters wake up, annoyed at how easily Yu fell asleep. They start chatting about the day, how Yu chose the perfect floral kimono for Nico, just like the one she loved before becoming the tomboy of the group. Nico, a bit embarrassed, admits he nailed it. Kazuki also confesses that Yu managed to make her drop the star mode and truly enjoy herself. Miwa laughs, but is quickly reminded she's still the same, obsessed with the game stalls, even though she's terrible, always needing Kazuki to win the prizes for her. They get thoughtful with all this nostalgic talk, and Kazuki opens up that at home, each of them lives in their own world, so distant from one another. Then it hits them. Yu really did manage to bring the sisters back together. Looking at the two photos, Miwa feels a warmth in her chest, happy to have her sisters back like before, even if just for one night. All thanks to the guy who totally nailed it. And so they fall asleep, happy, thanks to Yu, who made this night unforgettable for them. The next day, Yu watches on TV the news that the girls crush their challenges, and he realizes that no matter what happens, they're still geniuses beyond compare. After the adventure at the festival, the girls became even more clingy, like true sisters, which leaves Yu with a warm heart. He still has in mind the promise to go all out with a dinner for them. So, as soon as school ends, he flies home, all excited to prepare a feast. But upon opening the door, he gets a shock. The girls are already there, well before the scheduled time. And to make him even more confused, there's a fourth pair of shoes at the entrance. Inside, Yu sees one of the girls face to face with a man. When the guy starts talking, Yu immediately realizes that it's their father. Somewhat awkward, he greets and thanks him for letting him stay in the house. The father, with a serious expression, speaks about Subaru's death, Yu's mother, and says her talent could live on in the sun, but only if he works really hard. Suddenly, Yu notices an awkward silence. The sisters are mute, tense. He discovers that the father had been pressuring them, demanding results as if he were a judge. Coldly, the three tell him straight that they're dominating the competitions, as if they were unbeatable. The father just nods, tells them to keep going like that, and turns to leave. Yu, on impulse, calls him back. All excited, he says he's preparing that big dinner and invites the father to stay. But the man, dry as a desert, says he already heard the report from the daughters and sees no reason to stay. Then the father notices the mask they brought from the festival. Yu, with a grin from ear to ear, explains that he took the girls there, his idea, so they could relive childhood and take a photo at the Temple of Luck. Instead of finding it cool, the father looks at Yu with anger. My daughters don't need some stupid luck to shine, he rages. And he doesn't stop there. He says he knows Yu is a talentless useless, a disappointment to Subaru, who is a brilliant actress. With hatred, he breaks the mask in half and throws it in Yu's face, saying there's no place in this house for a failure. He grabs Yu's shoulder hard, as if wanting to rip him away. But before things get worse, the girls step in. They defend Yu, saying that even without trophies or talents, he's a guy who works his butt off and takes care of the house like no one else. The father, stunned, questions how they can bear living with a 0 on the left. Nervous but firm, they assure they need Yu, that he keeps them focused and at the top. Those words strike Yu full on, like a hug. After hearing the daughters, the father, still unwilling, lets Yu stay, but issues an ultimatum. They have to focus on their talents and forget nonsense like festivals. When he leaves, Yu tries to cheer the girls on to try the dinner, but Nico, with a sad look, says it's not happening anymore. A week later, Yu is back to square one, eating alone. He now understands that the girls' frightening talent comes from their father's pressure, but he can't get out of his head how downcast they looked in front of him. Meanwhile, the girls train non-stop. Nico in martial arts, Kazuki in theater classes, and Miwa in chess. At snack time, Miwa misses the homemade pudding Yu used to make, a lot better than the bland cookies she eats. The other two also miss Yu's food, which seemed chef-level. At home, Yu is still shaken by the father's words, who said he was holding the daughters back. He just wanted the sisters to come together to eat, like a real family, and be more united. He feels like everything fell apart, but remembering that his mother believed he could have a happy family, he decides it's not over yet. The next morning, the girls leave for school. Nico looks back, heart aching, seeing that Yu no longer says good luck before they leave. At lunch, she grabs her usual protein bar, but her friends mock it, saying it's boring. Nico says protein is what matters, but when she opens her bag, she finds a lunchbox full of homemade food, so beautifully made that her friends get jealous. Kazuki and Miwa also find neat lunchboxes. Everyone knows it was Yu. Looking at the food, Nico feels her chest warm up, knowing Yu still cares. Meanwhile, Yu is fading in class, exhausted after cooking at 4 in the morning. At home, Yu is relieved to see that the girls ate everything. They call him to talk and say they'll fight for him to stay, as long as he keeps supporting their routine and helping them become the best. Yu can't hold back his smile, overflowing with happiness, realizing the girls truly accepted him. The next morning, he delivers that day's lunchboxes with special care and wishes a spirited good morning. The girls leave home feeling warm inside, carrying that nice little inner glow. At school, Kazuki is nervous. For the first time, she'll play a female character and tries on a wig that makes her feel a bit awkward. Meanwhile, during training, Nico receives a call from her former mentor, the guy who taught her everything. He says he's going to watch her tournament, hoping she wins the trophy. And Miwa, in the middle of a shogi match against a great master, feels the weight of expectations. The opponent hopes she'll take the next step and win the title. The three return home downcast, carrying the pressure of always being best, with all eyes on them. But when they arrive, they're greeted by Yu, who's in the middle of the kitchen, all clumsy, preparing homemade udon for dinner. When he slips and almost falls, the girls burst out laughing, forgetting the pressure for a moment. Yu serves the udon, his first attempt, with a shy smile. They taste it, and to general surprise, find the flavor ordinary, nothing special. But contrary to what their father always preached, they realize that something just okay can be incredibly tasty. It's as if Yu's effort made everything special. After dinner, Yu is washing the dishes when Kazuki appears, offering help. He looks at her like, seriously? And she explains a bit shyly that she wants to work on her more feminine side. Yu, smiling, says washing dishes has no gender. He takes the opportunity to ask about her audition. Kazuki confesses she's anxious, but that, upon entering the house and seeing Yu, all worry vanished. She feels everything's going to be okay. Suddenly, she notices cuts on his fingers and is surprised, thinking Yu is a skilled cook. He laughs and says no, it's just effort, nothing special talent. At that moment, Yu lets a dish slip. Kazuki, who's broken many plates in the past, tenses up, but he reassures her. Relax, I replaced everything with reinforced plastic plates. While passing the dishes, Yu, exhausted, trips again and, to make it worse, starts a nosebleed. Kazuki worries, but while trying to help him, slips and they end up kissing by accident, a more intimate kiss than expected. Yu is on cloud 9 for a second, but soon panics and apologizes, swearing it was an accident. To his surprise, Kazuki reacts with disconcerting calm, saying, "It was just an accident," and goes to her room. Yu is impressed by her maturity, thinking that as an actress she must be used to kissing scenes, but unbeknownst to him, that's not exactly the case. The next day, Nico asks Kazuki to turn on the TV. When a scene of a couple kissing appears, Kazuki immediately turns it off and leaves, visibly upset. Later, she finds Miwa savoring a pudding Yu made. Miwa offers a piece, joking that the flavor is like a kiss of true love. Just hearing the word kiss irritates Kazuki. She goes to her room and turns red with embarrassment, clearly stirred by what happened. Suddenly, Yu appears at the door, and she yells for him to knock before entering. He apologizes and suggests they talk about the kiss. Thinking Kazuki doesn't even want to think about kissing a useless like him, he proposes they pretend nothing happened, that the kiss meant nothing. He leaves, thinking that's what she wants. But Kazuki becomes furious, hurt that he thinks the kiss meant nothing. At the audition, Kazuki tries to focus on the female role, as her father always demanded, saying a great actress must be versatile. But even with the wig, she still sounds like a Prince Charming. Watching the other actresses, she notices one using a sweet voice and teary eyes and tries to imitate. When it's time for a kissing scene, however, the image of the kiss with Yu flashes in her head, and she backs out at the moment. The director stops rehearsal and warns that her personal life cannot interfere with performance, which sparks an idea in Kazuki. Back at home, she finds Yu and asks him to prepare meals that provide energy to improve her performance. Yu, happily surprised, accepts immediately, relieved thinking things are back to normal. But, out of nowhere, Kazuki drops a bombshell. She demands that he go out with her on Sunday, in a tone that leaves Yu jaw-droppingly surprised. Yu kept wondering in his head if that kiss had triggered this whole turn of events. Little did he know that hidden away, Nico and Miwa were listening to everything, wide-eyed. How come their older sister Kazuki wanted to set up a date with Yu, the woman who, in their eyes, had no special talent at all? The two got worried about poor Gizzy, but decided to lock themselves in their rooms, pretending they knew nothing. Meanwhile, far from curious ears, Yu pulled Kazuki aside and asked, in a tone of genuine concern, what was going on. She came clean. She was a bundle of nerves over an important audition where she had to play a heroine. To bring the role to life truthfully, Kazuki wanted to feel in her own skin what it was like to be a real protagonist. Yu, impressed with her passion, supported the idea enthusiastically, thinking her dedication was amazing. Kazuki, however, gave him a serious look and asked for absolute secrecy. No one can know, and don't go getting the wrong idea, okay? But Yu was already convinced that, for her to shine, she needed to experience a real date. With a sparkle in his eyes, he encouraged her. "I've prepared something special for you. It's going to be unforgettable." Kazuki blushed, trying to hide her racing heartbeat. The next morning, Nico, driven by curiosity, cornered Yu. "So, what are you doing on Sunday?" she asked suspiciously. Yu dodged, saying he had nothing special planned. Nico was stunned, irritated by the blatant lie, picturing Yu and Kazuki laughing behind her back. Meanwhile, Miwa, who had also heard about the special date plan, let her imagination run wild, picturing some pretty crazy scenes. Dinner was tense, and you noticed something was off. When Kazuki, using that almost magical connection between them, spoke to you about the date, Nico and Miwa grew even angrier, and you began to worry, wondering if it might be that time of the month for the sisters. On Sunday, you waited for Kazuki full of excitement, unaware that Nico and Miwa were spying on him, dressed in disguises they'd picked themselves. The idea was to look weird, but in the end, they looked adorable. When Kazuki appeared, all eyes turned to her, dazzling in her most feminine version yet. You was left jaw-dropped at her beauty, while the sisters, fuming, watched Kazuki steal the show. Excited, she pulled you along to start the date, channeling a movie heroine with a charm that made you feel like the luckiest man alive. They went to the aquarium, with Nico and Miwa tailing them, still shocked by Kazuki's look. At the entrance, out of habit, Kazuki began leading you up the stairs, but he stopped her, laughing. "Hey, you're the princess today, not the prince!" They switched places, and Kazuki struggled to keep from laughing. During the show, she tried so hard to act cute that you, with a gentle smile, told her, "Relax, really throw yourself into it. That's how you'll feel the role." Suddenly, the dolphin splashed water, and Kazuki instinctively shielded you from getting wet, as if she were the one in charge of the relationship. The surrounding crowd applauded, charmed, but Nico and Miwa just fumed, seeing Kazuki dominate you. The date went on, with Kazuki struggling to loosen up and embody the heroine. Nico and Miwa, relieved, thought the date was a flop. But then you had to go to the bathroom, leaving Kazuki alone and nervous, afraid of disappointing him. That's when a slick-looking guy appeared, drooling over her stunning looks and offering a shady talent contract, promising roles with famous stars. Kazuki tried to refuse, but the guy wouldn't give up. That's when you came back, more confident than ever, and told the guy to scram, in a tone that left no room for argument. The man insisted that Kazuki could be a star, but you lost his patience. With a firm voice full of emotion, he blurted out, "She's not going anywhere, because I'm going to marry her and have amazing kids with this woman." Silence fell, and the guy, embarrassed, disappeared. Everyone around was enchanted by Yu's romantic outburst, but he, red with embarrassment, asked Kazuki to forget what he'd said. Only her heart was already melted, completely won over by the gesture. Yu took her hand, feeling the warmth of her fingers in his, and led her to the next destination, the movies. On the way, they didn't let go of each other's hands, even when a few passers-by joked that you looked like Kazuki's little brother. "What the heck, seriously?" he thought, squeezing her hand tighter, which made her let out a little squeal. Kazuki, realizing it made her feel more feminine, squeezed back, and you responded with even more firmness, in a playful back and forth that only heightened their chemistry. Nico and Miwa, watching, couldn't figure out what kind of supernatural connection this was. Still hiding, Nico and Miwa watched wide-eyed as you and Kazuki reached the theater, where you, all excited, showed her tickets to a romance movie. But Kazuki frowned when she noticed the leading actress was an old colleague of hers, someone who, like her, had dreamed of being a big star. During the film, though, Kazuki began to feel something unsettling. Her colleague's performance reminded her too much of herself in the past when she played male villains. She couldn't see her as the heroine of the story. When the movie ended, she overheard audience members leaving the theater saying, "Wow, what a terrible heroine, I mean, not cute at all." The words cut like a knife, bringing back her father's command, "Never fail." Kazuki's chest tightened, her fear of failure flooding back. You, sensing the mood, realized he'd made a mistake choosing that movie. Seeing her so unsure about her own acting broke his heart. Trying to save the day, he announced their next stop, the Ferris wheel. Kazuki and the sisters, still following, rolled their eyes. Seriously? How cliché, they thought. But the atmosphere changed when visitors started whispering about a legend. Anyone who confessed their feelings at the top of the Ferris wheel was destined to be with that person forever. Nico, Miwa, and even Kazuki felt a shiver, imagining what you, obsessed with making the date perfect, might do. Kazuki tried to come up with an excuse to escape, but you, with a confident smile, pulled her into the cabin. Inside, she couldn't stop blushing, her heart pounding as she thought about his efforts to make the day special. Suddenly, she remembered her journey, starting as a model because of her height, shining on stage as male characters, and gaining fame. But over time, success had become a chain. Failing? Not an option. Her father's words echoed, and the fear of not being able to play a feminine heroine suffocated her. She began to doubt herself, even thinking of giving up the role to avoid failure. In the middle of these thoughts, Kazuki noticed Yu trembling, sweating. "Are you okay?" she asked, concerned. Trying to play it off, he admitted, "Yeah, I handle heights fine, but this see-through floor, it gives me chills." She laughed, scolding him. "Then why'd you pick this Ferris wheel, you idiot?" Yu, eyes shining with determination, answered, "Because this date has to be perfect for you." That struck Kazuki, who felt the weight of what he might say next. Yu stood up, all serious, and she held her breath, fearing a confession. But at the crucial moment, he stumbled over his words, making a mess and looking like a fool. Kazuki, laughing, told him to sit, but deep down, she felt relief. Seeing Yu fail and still try made her envy his freedom. Sitting beside her, Yu pulled out his phone and showed her pictures from the date. "Look, Kazuki, all those times you failed at trying to be the heroine, you were beautiful, authentic." He smiled warmly. "Failing hurts, but it's how you find the ones who truly love you, flaws and all." His words hit Kazuki like a lightning bolt. She wanted to disagree, but deep down she knew he was right. When the Ferris wheel stopped, Nico and Miwa, still spying, were baffled. How was Kazuki laughing so lightly after the cinema disaster? What had happened in there? Yu and Kazuki went for a walk along the riverside, and she, with a new sparkle in her eyes, confessed, "Because of you, I realized today that it's okay to fail. There will always be someone who accepts me as I am. I want to act being truly myself." Yu, with a cheeky smile, replied, "If you ever freeze up, just remember our date." Kazuki blushed, lost for words. Nico and Miwa, seeing their chemistry, started to panic. Nico especially feared this closeness would continue at home. Suddenly, Kazuki locked eyes with Yu, her heart overflowing with gratitude for how he had changed her perspective. On impulse, she pulled him closer, and everyone, Yu, Nico, and Miwa, froze, thinking a kiss was coming, but she simply leaned to his ear and whispered softly and intimately, "That kiss we shared, it was my first. And I'll never forget it was your lips that touched mine." Yu turned beet red, unsure where to look. Nico and Miwa, not understanding what had happened, were left even more confused. Then Kazuki took off her wig, returning to her usual self. "The date ends here. I need to practice more," she declared, leaving Yu alone, but with a silly smile on his face. Nico and Miwa, watching from afar, knew something in Kazuki had changed forever. All because of Yu. Later at home, Yu arrived apologizing for being late and rushed to make dinner. To his surprise, Nico and Miwa greeted him warmly. "Welcome back." In disbelief, he asked, "Wait, say that again?" Little did he know they had spied on the entire date, and deep down, wished Yu would do something like that for them too. Sometime later, Yu and the girls were walking towards school, the morning sun shining brightly. While geniuses like Kazuki and Miwa strolled calmly, unhurried, the more absent-minded ones like Yu and Nico raced against time, reviewing the last notes before the tests. Kazuki, with her teasing nature, mocked the duo, calling them airheads. But when she saw Yu and Nico exchanging notes and laughing together, so close, Kazuki and Miwa felt a twinge of jealousy. Deep down, they wished they could be a little less perfect and enjoy that carefree vibe. Suddenly, a guy came running, bumping into Yu, while a woman shouted desperately, "Thief! He stole my purse!" Yu, heart racing, decided to play the hero and took off after the guy, but he seemed like a snail running. Nico, on the other hand, didn't waste time. She jumped in front of the thief, ready to show who was boss. To her surprise, the guy also knew how to fight, mastering some martial arts techniques which turned the chase into a real challenge. Yu, worried, feared that Nico might get hurt, but Kazuki, with a confident smile, whispered, "Relax, Yu. Nico is like Bruce Lee in a skirt." And sure enough, with a series of precise blows, Nico took the thief down and recovered the purse, drawing applause and shouts of admiration from the crowd around them. While the woman thanked her, surrounded by a few guys impressed with the scene, Nico felt a slight pang of jealousy, but tried to hide it. Yu, however, noticed a small cut on her hand. Even with Nico insisting it was nothing, he, with that caring way only he had, pulled a bandage from his pocket and tended to her so gently that Nico blushed, her heart beating faster. But before the moment could last, the thief got up and tried to escape again. This time, though, he ran right into a group of boys from another school. Their leader, a tall guy with undeniable charm named Tatsumi, knocked the thief out with a single blow, quick as lightning. The crowd, stunned, recognized Tatsumi as a national martial arts champion, a true prodigy. Kazuki and Miwa, with surprised looks, whispered that he was an old friend. When Nico met Tatsumi's gaze, she called him by his first name, with an intimacy that left Yu intrigued. Tatsumi, with a confident smile, told Nico he had come to get her. Later, Tatsumi and his team showed up at Nico's dojo to train for a week. Nico's team was puzzled to see Yu there, so present. The vice captain explained that Nico and Tatsumi had known each other since their first dojo, but Yu, suspicious, felt Tatsumi was bad news. Unlike the ordinary faces on Nico's team, Tatsumi drew the eyes of every girl, which left the group with a mix of envy and insecurity. That's when Nico, blood boiling, challenged Tatsumi to a friendly match, like the old days. Tatsumi hesitated, not wanting to hurt a girl, but Nico insisted, determined to show her strength. Yu and the team cheered her on, but Tatsumi, with impressive skill, defeated Nico effortlessly, leaving everyone stunned. Nico, still catching her breath, was about to ask for a rematch when Yu interrupted, irritated. He confronted Tatsumi, saying he should have gone easy. Tatsumi, confused, looked at Yu as if to say, "Who is this guy?" After calming down, Nico asked Yu to treat Tatsumi with respect, revealing that he was her hero. She explained that in their first dojo, when jealous boys cornered her for being better than them, Tatsumi had shown up, defeated them all, and protected her. Since then, Nico had admired him deeply. At that moment, Tatsumi approached, praising Nico's skills, but surprised everyone by saying he wanted to take her to his team. He revealed that his school, once only for boys, was now co-ed, and that he had already spoken to Nico's father. According to him, if Nico wanted to grow as a fighter, she needed to leave her weak team behind and join him. The statement caught everyone off guard, and Nico's team felt hurt. Tatsumi bluntly pointed out that none of them were at Nico's level, which limited her growth. Silence filled the group. Nico tried to defend her friends, but they, with heavy hearts, admitted they had always relied on her. With tears in their eyes, they said that, as much as it hurt, maybe it was better for her to go with Tatsumi. After school, Nico walked with Yu, still processing everything. He, curious, asked what she thought of Tatsumi's proposal. Nico confessed that his school was every fighter's dream. It had nutritionists, dorms built for athletes, and high-level training. Yu was impressed, but noticed a tone of hesitation in her voice. For the first time, Nico admitted that, unlike her old self, she was torn. She didn't want to leave her sisters, nor Yu, behind. In a moment of vulnerability, she held Yu's hand and, blushing, said she wanted them to stay together. Before Yu could reply, Nico's team suddenly appeared, shouting that they also wanted her to stay before running off, embarrassed. Yu, smiling, told Nico that even her friends wanted her to stay, but she, though happy, was upset at not hearing Yu's answer to her confession. That night, during dinner, Nico chewed absent-mindedly when Kazuki, out of nowhere, offered her expensive shampoo, something she never shared. Miwa, in turn, pushed a piece of her food toward Nico, a rare gesture. Both, in awkward ways, showed that, deep down, they wanted Nico to know how important she was to them. Nico was confused by Kazuki and Miwa's suddenly affectionate behavior. During dinner, Yu, with a knowing look, explained, "After the whole school found out that Tatsumi wants to take you, they're spoiling you so you won't leave." Nico felt a warmth in her heart, realizing her sisters wanted her to stay so much. But when she thought about Yu, one doubt nagged her. What did he think about her leaving? He still hadn't said anything clearly, and that left her restless. The next day at the dojo, while training was in full swing, Nico took a deep breath and walked over to Tatsumi. Firmly, she declared, "I'm not going to your school." Her team erupted in joy, cheers echoing through the gym. Tatsumi, however, was furious, eyes blazing. "What are you doing, Nico? You're going to stay with these losers instead of shining with me?" Nico calmly replied that she believed she could be amazing following her own path. Tatsumi, red with anger, taunted her. "What happened to you? Turned into a soft loser?" The words cut Nico like a knife, but before she could respond, something unexpected happened. From behind a locker, Yu appeared, with a face that wouldn't take disrespect. "Stop talking to her like that," he said, stepping toward Tatsumi with a courage no one expected. "I'll prove that Nico is with someone better than you, and that's why she's staying." With an energy that caught everyone by surprise, Yu challenged Tatsumi to a duel. Whoever won would be considered the strongest, and would decide if Nico stayed at their school. "I want to be with Nico, and I'll do whatever it takes to win," declared Yu, making Nico's heart race and her face flush. The team moved, quickly realized the truth. You so scrawny against the giant Tatsumi? It seemed crazy, but the dojo's vice captain dropped a bomb. You guys know you as Subaru's son, right? The name of the legendary actress who did her own action scenes without stunt doubles made Tatsumi hesitate for a second, though he still seemed confident of victory. You, without backing down, looked Nico in the eyes and said, "I'm the one who's going to be with you." Those words shook Nico so much she felt the ground tremble. Later, at home, you trained with Nico, who placed all her hopes in him. After all, her future depended on that duel. "First, learn to move properly," Nico ordered. You, excited, started doing dance steps instead of fighting techniques, making her smile, and she let it slide. Then she warned, "Tatsumi's strong point is his kicks. You need to get close to him." On impulse, you rushed in too fast, and Nico, by reflex, landed a punch that knocked him to the ground. During a break, with you aching all over, he looked at her and said seriously, "I'm way behind Tatsumi, but I won't give up. What matters is that you stay with me." Nico blushed, her heart pounding, but you, without realizing, ruined the moment by saying, "And with your sisters too, of course." He continued more lightly, "You know, I like seeing you leave the house every morning. I want you to tell me everything, Nico." In a burst, he pinned her against the wall, asking intensely, "Say what you feel." Nico, unable to hold back her emotions, confessed, "I also like when you walk with me in the morning. I want to stay because of my sisters and because of you." You smiled, happy, but before the moment could last, Kazuki and Miwa appeared, caught eavesdropping behind the door. "We're going to help you train you," they shouted, promising to guarantee his victory. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Tatsumi opened a challenge letter sent by you. Inside, a bold condition. Tatsumi couldn't use his dominant limbs in the duel. Since he had already accepted the challenge, he was now bound by this rule, which made him even more irritated, but also intrigued by Yu's audacity. After one of those training sessions that leave the body sore, you and Nico arrived at the dojo's cafeteria and were left speechless. There were Kazuki and Miwa wearing colorful aprons, looking ready for a cooking show. "We'll do our best to help you," the two said, full of excitement. You felt a warmth in his heart with their affection, but when he and Nico saw the result of their effort in the kitchen, it was a shock. The dish was so strange it looked like it was about to come to life at any moment, and maybe even getting close to it could be dangerous. Kazuki and Miwa, realizing the plan had failed, deflated, looking like they had lost the game. You, feeling sorry, decided to cheer them up. "What if I teach you how to really cook?" he suggested with a friendly smile. The two acted coy, saying they didn't need help, but you pulled Nico aside and whispered, "Say you're dying to taste their food." Nico, laughing, played along, and the two finally gave in, excited by the idea. You started with the basics, teaching how to cook vegetables without turning them into crispy charcoal. Kazuki, with an enviable memory, picked up the recipes instantly, and you didn't hold back on the compliments, leaving her cheeks blushing. Then he moved on to Miwa, who was trying to peel potatoes without hurting her fingers. In a distracted moment, she let out a "sir" to you and turned so red she almost hit her face in the apron. Even with the slip-ups, you admired their willingness to learn, even if they were disasters in the kitchen, and realized that even the talented make an effort in things they're not good at. After some attempts, laughter, and a big mess, Kazuki and Miwa finally got it right. The result? A beautiful and delicious-smelling dish, mouth-watering enough to make anyone drool. Nico, upon seeing the food, widened her eyes. "You made my favorite dish?" It was nothing like that alien-looking mush they had served before. She tried a bite and couldn't hold back. "Wow, this is amazing, really." Kazuki and Miwa exchanged smiles, proud of their accomplishment. When you went to eat, he noticed his hand was trembling, exhausted from the tough training. Miwa, without thinking twice, grabbed the spoon and brought the food to his mouth. "Come on, eat already," she said, ignoring the surprised looks from Nico and Kazuki. You, a little embarrassed, tasted it and praised the flavor, which made Miwa shine with happiness. Kazuki, not wanting to be left out, also fed you with a sly little smile. When he praised her dish too, both of them felt such great joy, it was like they had won the lottery. Serving with love was just too good. Nico, on the other hand, just watched, with a mix of jealousy and annoyance in her eyes. The next day, training continued, and Kazuki and Miwa wouldn't stop pampering you, bringing him snacks and water as if he were a king. Nico, already fed up, suggested ending the session, but Yu, with that stubborn sparkle in his eyes, wanted to continue. That lit a spark in Nico, who, even while grumbling, went back to training with him, pouring all her energy onto the mat. At school, Tatsumi, Nico's rival, was lost in thought, trying to understand how she, such a focused fighter, now seemed hesitant, hiding behind others. When crossing paths with her, he couldn't hold his tongue. "You're weak, Nico, leaning on others just to avoid making decisions." And he threw down a challenge. "After I destroy you, you'll come to my dojo." Without waiting for an answer, he turned his back and left. Later, during training, Nico noticed Yu was punching harder. She praised him, but the conversation with Tatsumi came back like a punch to the gut. With tears in her eyes, she confessed, "I'm sorry, Yu, for dragging you into this mess. It's all because of me, because I don't know what I want." She admitted that Tatsumi and her father always demanded she be the best fighter, but deep down she also dreamed of being delicate, feminine. "I don't know who I really am," she admitted, her voice trembling. Yu calmly replied, "I was the one who challenged Tatsumi, Nico, and you're more feminine than you think." He told her how he had seen her admiring flowers before, which made her blush in embarrassment. "You're strong and beautiful, Nico. There's nothing strange about that," he said, lifting her up from the floor. Nico, embarrassed, gave him a light punch and muttered, "Only you say those things to me." Nico, still confused, asked Yu for help. "Because of my indecision, I need you." Yu had an idea. "Let's face Tatsumi together." Nico imagined a 2 against 1, but Yu already had a plan. On the day of the fight, Kazuki and Miwa, nervous, could barely focus on their own commitments, only thinking about the showdown between Yu and Nico against Tatsumi. At the dojo, everyone was shocked when Yu proposed something unusual, fighting Tatsumi twice, first himself, then Nico. "If either of us wins, she doesn't have to go to your dojo," he explained. The crowd, including Nico, looked at Yu as if he were the villain of the story, but he whispered to her, "I don't care what they think. I just want to protect you." Nico blushed, but saw that Yu was trembling with fear. Without thinking, she held his hands, gave him a light slap, and shouted, "Go there and crush him, show the result of a week of training." But minutes later, Yu was on the ground, defeated. No one was surprised. After all, he had only trained for 1 week. It was Nico's turn to face Tatsumi. She felt the weight of the moment, but when Yu shouted that he would be waiting for her at home, something cleared in her mind. She advanced, knowing Tatsumi liked to kick, and stayed very close, attacking non-stop. But Tatsumi, who knew all her moves from years of fights, blocked everything with ease. Suddenly, he landed a punch in her stomach, making her fall and needing a moment to breathe. Tatsumi, confident, said that Nico should give up and go with him to become strong. For a moment, she thought he was right and started thinking about giving up. But then, Yu started shouting, "Nico, don't give up!" pulling Nico's teammates to cheer loudly. Nico, annoyed at first, embarrassed to death, ended up laughing, and something changed inside her. Remembering Yu's words, she embraced who she truly was. When she went back on the attack, Tatsumi expected a punch, but Nico surprised him with a kick, something she never did. Then he expected a straight strike, but got slapped instead. Nico's team cheered, watching her break her own limits, fighting in a free and new way. Yu noticed something even more special. Nico was smiling. Her attacks earned 2 points, leaving her 1 step away from victory. Tatsumi, irritated, said she was no longer the same. Nico, with a jump, replied, "This is the real me, you idiot." Kazuki and Miwa, who arrived just in time, saw Nico land a huge jumping kick on Tatsumi, smiling, and win the fight. The dojo erupted in applause. Meanwhile, Tatsumi's team couldn't believe the best fighter in the district had been defeated. Nico, radiant, looked at Yu, and with tears in her eyes, she grabbed the towel he offered and, embarrassed, cried on his shoulder, happy for the victory. "Just this once, let me cry, you fool," she asked between laughter and tears, while her heart warmed, realizing she wouldn't need to leave her sisters and Yu anymore. Before Tatsumi left, Nico, with a heavy heart, apologized for the result of the duel. She confessed that she understood he only wanted the best for her. Tatsumi, despite the sadness in his eyes, gave a faint smile and kept his promise not to insist that she accompany him. Nico also apologized for Yu's performance in the fight against him, calling him a weakling. But Tatsumi, with a tone of respect, showed a purple bruise on his leg and revealed that Yu had focused all his strikes there, which left him vulnerable to her final attack. "That's why I couldn't dodge," admitted Tatsumi. Nico apologized again, embarrassed, but Tatsumi interrupted her, saying that Yu only fought so fiercely because he truly cared about her. On impulse, with his cheeks blushing, Tatsumi let slip that the real reason he wanted Nico at his school was because he liked her, not as a friend, but in a romantic way. Nico, a little lost at first, took it as a joke, like friendly banter. But when Tatsumi emphasized, with his heart in his hand, that his feelings were serious, Nico turned red like a little chili pepper, almost exploding with embarrassment. "Since when do you feel that way?" asked Nico, almost voiceless. He answered, simple and direct. "Since the first day you walked into the dojo and we met. I always wanted to be close to you." He paused with a melancholic smile. "But now I know the person you want by your side is here, at your school." He was clearly referring to the conqueror, Yu. Those words lit a spark in Nico. Suddenly, she realized Tatsumi was right. As they said goodbye, wishing each other good luck, Yu's face flashed into Nico's mind like lightning. No matter how much she tried to deny it, her heart beat stronger, screaming that what she felt for Yu went beyond friendship. Alone with her thoughts, Nico walked home, still digesting the victory in the duel, when she was surprised upon opening the door. A lively party awaited her, organized by Yu and his sisters, who wanted to celebrate her victory, and the fact that she wasn't leaving the group. Nico noticed Yu's injured hands, full of bandages. He tried to brush it off, saying it was fine, but she, with care and affection, touched the wounds and murmured, "You can't push yourself this much, you know." In a gesture of gratitude, she offered, "For everything you did for me, ask for anything and I'll do it for you." The mood was light, but suddenly a crazy idea crossed Nico's mind, and she imagined Yu with a Giga Chad look, as if he were about to do something more naughty, if you know what I mean. Panic took over, and she let out a scream that echoed through the house. The others, hearing the yell, immediately imagined absurd things, thinking Yu was crossing the line. In a hilarious mess, everyone offered to do whatever Yu wanted, just to calm him down, already imagining the mischievous things Yu might ask them to do. But to everyone's surprise, Yu just smiled and said, "I want us to go to the amusement park together." The girls, who expected something more daring, were a bit disappointed, doubting if Yu was a boy or a girl, but soon got excited. Yu explained that he had always dreamed of spending a day at the park with his family, the friends who were like siblings. The girls, imagining the outing, began to picture the scene like a romantic date, and their faces turned red with embarrassment and anticipation. At that moment, Nico's cell phone rang. It was her father. Before she could speak, Yu grabbed the phone and, with a courage no one expected, told her father that the sisters deserved a day off at the amusement park, that working so much wasn't healthy. The father, surprised, asked to speak with Nico. When she took the phone, he congratulated her for defeating Tatsumi, the greatest martial artist in the country. "You've grown strong, Nico. You don't need to change schools," he said, proud. He reflected on how far she had come, and remembering Yu's involvement, ended up agreeing with the idea of the outing. Miko passed the news along, and Yu declared, "We'll go on the weekend." In the following days, Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki went into a frenzy, choosing clothes, planning how to act, and thinking of ways to impress Yu on the date at the park. When Sunday came, Yu was the first to arrive at the park, excited and anxious. Suddenly, Miwa appeared from behind, covering his eyes. "Guess who it is?" Yu got it right instantly and complimented her casual look, simple and stylish. Miwa, confident, thought she had won the competition since a model look at a park seemed over the top. Then, Kazuki showed up, with a look worthy of a magazine cover, leaving Miwa speechless. "Are you crazy? This is a park, not a runway," complained Miwa, but Yu, charmed, praised Kazuki's boldness, who became all flustered. Finally, Nico appeared, and everyone stopped to stare. She was unrecognizable, wearing a delicate dress, looking like a true princess. "What's this about?" they asked, shocked. Nico, with a shy smile, only said, "I want to try new things." When Yu praised her beauty, she blushed once again. With everyone gathered, Yu kicked off the day at the park, and the adventure began. Little did Yu know that, in recent weeks, Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki had been completely captivated by him. Now the sisters were determined to turn the tables and win his heart back. The adventure began at the haunted house, Kazuki's idea, which left Nico and Miwa just watching, with a mix of jealousy and defeat, while she took the lead. Kazuki had planned everything. She would pretend to be a scared maiden, throwing herself into Yu's arms at every scare. But at the first jump scare, instead of screaming, She found herself complimenting the ghost's makeup. "Wow, so well done," she blurted out, realizing too late she had ruined the plan. Suddenly, she noticed Yu was gone. Looking around, she found him crouched on the ground, trembling with fear. When another scare came, Yu jumped into her arms, apologizing for being so frightened. Kazuki, who wanted to seduce him, ended up completely melted by his vulnerable little boy way, as if he were the scared girl there. Outside, Nico and Miwa, who feared Kazuki had won Yu over, saw the scene. Him clinging to her back, still trembling. She failed, they thought, relieved. But when Yu, with a shy smile, said he felt safe with her, Kazuki blushed like a flame, and the sisters realized she was the one who had been conquered. Miwa, confident, swore she wouldn't fall into the same trap. She took Yu to the roller coaster, while Nico and Kazuki declined the invitation, leaving the field clear. Miwa had planned everything. She would pretend to be terrified, begging Yu to sit by her side. During the drop, she imagined that afterwards she could act fragile, and he would comfort her. But at the end of the ride, she looked around, confused, unable to find Yu. She found him lying on a bench, pale-faced. "I'm terrified of roller coasters. I've never been on one, to be honest," he confessed, breathless. Miwa was frustrated for not shining as planned, but when Yu said with that sincere look that he was happy to have had his first time with her heart melted like butter. Wanting to comfort him, she offered her legs as a pillow. "Relax there," she said, trying to hide her blush when he thanked her. All sweet. Miwa also failed, and like Kazuki, was conquered by Yu. Now it was Nico's turn. She chose the teacup ride, thinking she could spin the wheel so fast that she would end up falling into Yu's lap, and he would hug her. But at the crucial moment, Yu spun the wheel so hard that he ended up leaning over her. The cup spun faster and faster, and they got so close that Yu's lips almost touched hers. Nico felt her heart race, almost exploding with emotion, but before anything could happen, Yu lost his balance and almost flew out of the cup, being caught by Nico. "Wow, how embarrassing," he exclaimed, laughing, while Nico, red up to her ears, helped him up, defeated by the moment. After all the failed attempts, the sisters decided to take Yu to eat something, still believing they could turn the game around. But to their surprise, Yu, without even realizing it, kept charming each of them with his simple and caring way. He praised the food, told funny stories, and made sure to include everyone in the conversation, leaving them completely smitten until the park closed. The three were frustrated. How come Yu hadn't blushed even once? But then they saw a family taking a picture together, and Nico noticed the sparkle in Yu's eyes as he watched. That's when she understood. For Yu, that day was about being with his family, nothing more. Determined to eternalize the moment, Nico gathered everyone for a group photo. Yu thanked them with such a genuine smile that the sisters felt compelled to speak. "Yu, because of you, we had more fun than ever, and even grew in life," said Nico, sincerely. Miwa and Kazuki agreed, thanking him from the bottom of their hearts for everything he did for them. And, for the first time, Yu blushed, with his heart warm, not knowing where to hide his face. The sisters exchanged glances, realizing that, in the end, Yu was easy to charm. They just needed to be themselves. On the way home, on the train, everyone fell asleep, exhausted but happy. Miwa, waking up for a moment, looked at Nico, Kazuki, and Yu, sleeping together like a real family, and smiled. But reality hit when she saw a notification on her cell phone. A shogi battle was approaching. Deep down, she wished she could stay in that moment forever, away from life's pressures. After an incredible date, Kazuki and Nico left with light hearts, as if they had taken a weight off their shoulders. Deep down, they both knew Yu was right. Even geniuses like them needed a break every now and then to recharge their energy. At the door, as they said goodbye, Yu waved with a smile, and Kazuki and Nico exchanged a warm farewell, but with a competitive gleam in their eyes. After all, the rivalry between them was still very much alive. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Yu noticed that Miwa had forgotten her lunchbox. He knew how much she loved his homemade food, always eagerly waiting for every dish he prepared with care. Without a second thought, he decided to take the lunchbox to her. On the way, he spotted a distracted girl, so absorbed in a book that she almost ran straight into a pole. Yu, with his attentive nature, rushed to keep her out of trouble as she approached a construction site. With a gentle pull, he steered her away from danger. When the girl finally looked at him, she frowned, confused. "Who are you?" she asked, not even realizing Yu had just saved her skin. With a calm smile, he offered her a healthy sweet to help her recover in that blazing heat. "Here, to give you some energy," he said before going on his way. The girl, surprised, took the sweet, and when he had already turned his back, she pulled out of her pocket the very same sweet he had given her. A little smile escaped as she thought, "Wow, what an interesting guy." Arriving at the place where Miwa was playing a shogi match, Yu was left speechless when he saw her. Completely focused, she looked like a true queen on the board, with an aura of determination that gave him chills. Next to him, an unfamiliar guy muttered, "Miwa's in bad shape in this match." Yu, worried, stayed quiet, not wanting to break her focus. Suddenly, during an opponent's move, Miwa licked her lips lightly, and the guy beside him cheered, "That's it! She's going to win!" Yu, curious, asked, "How do you know?" The guy, with a clever smile, replied, "When Miwa licks her lips like that, it's a sign she's found the path to victory. It's her trademark." Sure enough, less than a minute later, Miwa's opponent threw in the towel, and she won with mastery. Yu rushed to celebrate with her, his eyes shining with admiration. "Wow, Miwa, you were amazing out there. What a badass player," he said, all excited. Miwa, blushing to her ears, grumbled, "Stop it, don't call me badass, that's embarrassing." Not wanting to disturb the other players, she pulled him outside the room and asked, surprised, "But what are you doing here?" Yu, with a cheeky smile, pulled the lunchbox out of his backpack. "You forgot this. And look, I went all out with the sides you love to give you some extra energy." Miwa was left speechless, her eyes shining with gratitude. He was about to say goodbye, telling her he'd head home, but Miwa pouted irresistibly and asked, "Hey, stay and have lunch with me, come on!" Yu, unable to resist her charm, agreed right away and went to buy something to eat. But out of nowhere, the book girl, the same one who almost ran into the pole, appeared like a storm. She snatched the lunchbox from Miwa's hands, pointing a finger at Yu. "You! It's because of guys like you that Miwa's been playing badly lately," she accused dramatically. Miwa, keeping her composure, took the lunchbox back with a fierce glare. The girl, who introduced herself as Sakura, wasn't intimidated. "The old Miwa would never care so much about a stupid lunchbox," she shot back, and with a challenging tone she added, "I'm her eternal rival, got it?" Yu, impressed, exclaimed, "Wow, that's awesome, so you're a match for Miwa." Sakura, proud, straightened her posture, but Miwa cut the moment with a sarcastic little smile. "Rival, you've never beaten me even in practice, Sakura. To me, you're just an annoying mosquito." Sakura, though recognizing the gap in their skill, retorted, "Maybe so, but the old Miwa would never struggle this much against opponents. The greatest shogi player of our generation can't stoop this low." Miwa turned red, unsure if it was anger or embarrassment, and Yu, watching everything, thought, deep down, Sakura really admires Miwa a lot. Suddenly, Sakura declared, fire in her eyes, "I'll defeat you, Miwa, and put an end to your era, but to do that I need to study you up close." And without ceremony, she sat down with them for lunch, determined to analyze Miwa's every move. Miwa, irritated, crossed her arms and grumbled, "Don't even try, I'm not sharing my food." Sakura, unfazed, opened her own lunchbox, revealing onigiri and something she swore was an omelet, but looked more like a highly lethal biological weapon. Suddenly, a loud bark made Sakura jump in fright, tossing an onigiri into the air. Desperate, she chased after the food but tripped, and Yu, trying to help, ended up slipping along with her. And there it was, that ultra-cliché romantic comedy scene. Yu landed in a position that would make anyone blush. Sakura, looking at Yu, was briefly hypnotized by his charm, but quickly pulled herself together, giving him a light slap on the face. "No way, I can't get distracted by a hot guy before my big match against Miwa," she exclaimed, red as a beet. Miwa, watching everything with a twinge of jealousy, realized something. Yu and Sakura were both hopelessly clumsy, almost like they were cut from the same cloth. Meanwhile, Yu chuckled softly, amused by their interaction. He had always seen Miwa so alone at school, but now here she was, with such a lively rival. "Miwa, it's so nice seeing you like this, so cute with such a passionate friend," he said with a sincere smile. Miwa, red as a chili pepper, snapped back, "Friend? Me? With her? Never!" Sakura, in turn, shouted, "We're rivals, not friends." But Miwa, with a look of disdain, fired back, "Rival? You? A loser like you doesn't even come close to me." And so began another argument, sparks flying between the two, while Yu just watched, amused at how, deep down, they understood each other. Sakura had always been crazy about shogi, but faced with a sea of incredible talents, she had to work hard, studying non-stop to be able to compete. When she finally entered the circuit, she faced many opponents, but always stumbled against the unbeatable champion Miwa. Even with so many defeats and no one paying attention to her determination, Sakura kept her full focus, seeing herself as Miwa's great rival, ready to one day surpass her. On a random morning, Yu woke up early, full of energy, and found Kazuki and Nico, who to his surprise, were also up. He told them he was going to the temple to pray for Miwa's victory. The sisters, wanting to do the same, made up flimsy excuses for being awake so early, but Yu, with his warm way, invited them to come along. At the temple, they ran into Sakura, immersed in a fervent prayer. She saw Yu and dropped her jaw when she realized he was with the legendary Madono sisters. With a touch of humility, Sakura confessed, "I don't have Miwa's talent, so I don't see a problem in asking for a little luck." Kazuki and Nico were shocked to see several prayer plaques hung by Sakura, all asking for victory. Curious, Sakura asked how Yu knew the Madono sisters, and he replied, smiling, "I give them a bit of support, you know? Help them keep their focus." Sakura, annoyed, shot back, "You? A talentless guy? Just serving as a lackey for these geniuses? You and I may be alike in not having talent, but I would never give up on my dreams to be a sidekick. I'm the protagonist of my story." With fiery eyes, she promised to defeat Miwa, but lost all her composure when she slipped badly. Yu, always kind, tried to help her, but ended up slipping and falling on top of her. His handsome face so close made Sakura blush, but the moment was cut short by the sisters' piercing glares, who did not like at all seeing their darling in that scene. Laughing, Yu joked, "I guess we're kind of alike in this clumsy way, huh?" Sakura, blushing, felt awkward, while Kazuki and Nico, angry, rushed to make their prayers, wishing for Sakura's defeat. The day of the first game between Miwa and Sakura arrived, and Yu watched everything with his heart in his throat. The sisters, trying to seem uninterested, said, "Relax, Yu. It's 5 matches and Miwa will crush her. No need to get so tense." Even so, they couldn't resist peeking at his screen. Yu, noticing, pulled them in to watch together, laughing, "Come on, let's watch together." Embarrassed by being so close, they ran off, blushing. After hours of tension came the shock. Miwa, to everyone's astonishment, surrendered, giving Sakura the victory. Yu was desperate, wanting to comfort Miwa, but the sisters held him back. "Calm down. Don't turn this into a drama." Despite being annoyed at the result, Yu went all out and prepared a special dinner for Miwa, something the sisters found a bit over the top. When Miwa arrived, everyone tried to cheer her up, but she refused the dinner with a gentle smile. "Thanks, guys, but I need to focus on the next match against Sakura." In the middle of training, Miwa ran out of snacks. On her way out to get something, she found protein bars and supplements left by Kazuki and Nico, proof that they cared. And to her surprise, Yu was there, eyes shining. "I made a special treat for you, Miwa." In the kitchen, he showed her a little chocolate ball, her favorite. Then, he poured hot chocolate over it, revealing a vanilla ice cream shaped like a kitty, which Miwa adored. "Play with a smile, okay? This will give you energy to crush Sakura," Yu said, all excited. Miwa, her eyes glowing, devoured the dessert, feeling the energy to face Sakura again. A week later, the second match for the Shogi Championship title begins. Once again, Miwa is defeated by Sakura. While Yu runs to the venue, anxious to see how Miwa is doing, everyone comments, impressed and incredulous, that Sakura, the same one who had never beaten Miwa before, managed to defeat her twice in a row. Yu can't believe Miwa is being cornered, and desperate, shouts loudly, trying to find her. At that moment, Sakura appears and, full of mockery, says, "I see you came here just to fetch that loser, huh? You doesn't like the way she speaks at all." Sakura continues, claiming that Miwa didn't study enough, that she relied too much on her talent. With arrogance, she says that Miwa made several mistakes right at the beginning and ended up losing twice in a row precisely to her. And, with even more mockery, she bets that Miwa went home crying in humiliation. Yu, with a serious expression, seems about to lunge at her, but surprisingly thanks her. Sakura is confused, not understanding why. Yu explains that he understood the hidden message in her words. What she really meant was that Miwa didn't give her best. He states that if Miwa trains more, reviews her strategies, and truly pushes herself, she still has a chance to turn the tables. For Yu, the true meaning behind Sakura's provocations was to encourage him to go comfort Miwa, since she was devastated by her first double defeat. Sakura blushes instantly, realizing that Yu hit the nail on the head, but denies it with all her might, saying that wasn't what she meant. Yu then retorts, "But you're still here, even after so much time since the match ended. Surely you were waiting for me, thinking you might run into me." All red, she denies it. Yu, with a smirk on his face, teases, "I thought your grand entrance was really cool. You looked beautiful, Sakura." Sakura nearly explodes with emotion, completely flushed by his charm. Yu says goodbye, but before leaving, throws her a seductive look and states, "Don't think this is the end for Miwa Mikadono." Then he turns his back and walks away. Sakura is surprised by his boldness. Yu places himself only as support for Miwa, but still makes it clear that he believes she is much better than she seems. Shortly after, Yu returns home and senses a heavy atmosphere. Kazuki and Nico have bitter expressions, as if they had eaten and not liked it. He asks if Miwa has already returned, and they explain that she has, but that shortly after she left again. Yu becomes worried, believing that Miwa is devastated by the defeat. Nico, however, assures him that she is stronger than she looks, but admits that even so, she is discouraged. A few minutes earlier, when Miwa returned home, Kazuki and Nico tried to cheer her up. "You just need 3 wins, Miwa, don't be discouraged. You're like us. You dedicated your life to shogi, and that effort will definitely pay off," said Nico. Kazuki also commented that she recently learned that failing isn't necessarily a bad thing, but Miwa wasn't in the mood for conversations. With a serious tone, she shot back, "Shut up! I'm not like you two." And she stormed out, slamming the door, leaving her 2 sisters paralyzed, speechless. Kazuki and Nico understood that Miwa takes title matches very seriously, and were discouraged, believing that by hearing advice from 2 amateurs, she only became even more irritated. The 2 affirmed that Miwa is the type to hold her anger in silence, but that was the first time they had seen her so furious. Determined to find her, Yu tells Kazuki and Nico to stay home waiting, in case Miwa shows up. As he runs, the rain begins to fall, and Yu remembers the good times when Miwa would be happy savoring his sweets. He wonders what could have made her so angry. He heads to Catnip, a cafe with cute kittens, and finds Miwa there, petting and showering kisses on a little cat. Surprised, Miwa stares at him when he enters. Yu, happy to see her well, says he didn't expect to find her in that place. Suspicious, she asks where he thought he would find her, and Yu replies that he imagined seeing her under a viaduct, sad and alone. After drying off, Yu asks if she often goes to that cafe. Miwa explains that yes, since they don't have time to take care of pets. Besides, Kazuki is a little allergic to cats, and since they can barely take care of the house, having a pet would be cruelty to the little animal. Yu is glad to see her regain a little spirit, and assures her that even with 2 defeats, she can still beat Sakura. But suddenly, Miwa's expression changes. She buries her face in the kitten's soft belly, nearly suffocating the poor animal. With a sadder tone, she vents. All professional shogi players dedicate their entire lives to it, studying non-stop. Yu says he can tell just by looking at her how much she dedicates herself to the game, but Miwa counters, "It's not quite like that." Miwa confesses that for her, shogi had always just been a means to achieve something. It could have been chess or anything else, it wouldn't have made a difference. Since she was little, her father noticed her talent, and at a very young age, she was already a champion, defeating even older and more experienced boys. He constantly praised her for her achievements and said that in this way, she would be as good as her sisters. That was always the only reason why Miwa played shogi. But still, Nico and Kazuki were extremely talented and dedicated. When Miwa asked why they tried so hard, Nico answered that it was because she found it so much fun to train and get stronger. Kazuki, on the other hand, said she loved shining on stage. However, none of that made sense to Miwa. With sadness, she recognizes that her sisters follow what they truly love, while she plays shogi only as a way to earn recognition. Miwa says that shogi is frighteningly competitive, since it's possible to feel the opponent's determination from the other side of the board. And for her, it was evident that her opponents could sense how shallow her dedication to the game was. When she was about to cry, with a trembling voice, she admits that she had always known that someone like her, sooner or later, would stop winning. Unable to bear the weight alone, her tears, carrying all the pain of a life of pressure, streamed down her face, easing a bit of the burden of always having to be the best. Yu, very gently, strokes her head and thanks her for having trusted him. Miwa, still shaken, says she doesn't know if she wants to go back home. Then Yu, with a gallant smile, replies, "I'm not going to let you go back home yet, my dear Miwa-san." Miwa turns red like a pepper. and even the little cat seems embarrassed by the scene. After the rain passes, Yu walks hand in hand with Miwa, which makes her blush even more, believing that he was going to take her to a warm place, maybe even a hotel. But, to her surprise, Yu takes her to a supermarket. As they walk through the aisles, Yu explains that Kazuki and Nico believe they are to blame for Miwa having left home. He suggests that preparing a gift would be a good way for Miwa to apologize to her sisters. He decides that they are going to make sweets for them, and asks Miwa what each one's favorites are. Miwa reveals that Nico has been interested in cute things lately, and since they found out she really likes sweets, a delicate cupcake would be perfect for her. As for Kazuki, who loves to play the adult, she would prefer something more bitter, like coffee or coffee jelly. With this information, Yu decides to prepare something lighter in sugar so it won't interfere with their diet. After shopping, Yu and Miwa head to the Seika Academy, where they will be able to cook without spoiling the surprise. While they prepare the ingredients, Miwa asks where Yu learned to cook so well and even jokes, wondering if he might just be a loser with a hidden talent. Yu then begins to tell his story. When he was a child, he was a complete failure at everything he tried. He felt very inferior to his mother, who was talented, and because of that, he began to avoid her. One day, however, he prepared a simple breakfast without much intention. His mother, who had come home early from work, tried the snack and ended up liking it very much. Hearing for the first time his mother praising his food with a sincere smile, Yu felt his heart warm. From then on, he wanted to see that smile more often and started practicing cooking a lot. The problem was that, in the beginning, his dishes looked pretty but didn't taste good, and unfortunately his mother was very busy to try his recipes. Over time, Yu began to wonder if all of that made sense, since his mother almost never had time to taste his dishes. Until one day his mother was hospitalized. Before one of the trips to buy groceries, he asked if she wanted something special. With the little strength she had left, and with a look full of regret, she said she would very much like to eat something made by him. Then, with the guidance of the doctors, Yu dove into cookbooks in search of nutritious and comforting dishes. He put his whole heart into cooking, and when he served his mother, she loved his food, asking for more. From that moment on, Yu began preparing all of his mother's meals during the time she was hospitalized. Yu comments that he noticed how much Miwa enjoyed choosing the ingredients for her sisters. Blushing, she tries to deny it, but Yu doesn't believe her denial. Then tells Miwa that, although she considers herself superficial for playing shogi only in search of praise and recognition, in truth this shows that she wants to be as good as her sisters, whom she loves so much, and also that she wants to see her father happy and proud of her. Miwa, red with embarrassment, tries to deny that these are her true motivations, but Yu says there's nothing wrong with that. With a gentle smile, he concludes, "Some people don't push themselves just to improve or to reach the top, but to make someone they love proud. That shows how kind and caring you are, Miwa." For a moment, Miwa freezes, enchanted by his words. In her mind, she begins to imagine not only her father and sisters as people she would like to make proud, but also Yu. And when she realizes that he appears in her thoughts, her face becomes even redder. A little later, Yu ends up falling asleep. Miwa, watching him, decides to create a little marshmallow doll with his face, as a special way of thanking him, and also a secret gesture. She kisses the doll, imagining she is kissing Yu. Later, when they return home, Kazuki and Nico are irritated, complaining about the delay. They start arguing with Yu, but Miwa defends him, stating that it was her fault. Then, Miwa gives the sweets she had prepared with so much care to her sisters. Yu explains that she was the one who really made them. He only gave a little help, and that these sweets are special and unique. Kazuki, trying to act tough, tastes the sweet and realizes it's delicious. Nico, wanting to seem superior, claims that hers has more tasty little things, but Kazuki counters, saying that balance is more important. The two end up arguing to decide which sweet is better. At that moment, Miwa calls Yu and gifts him with the sweet in the shape of a doll that has his face. The sisters are impressed by the resemblance, but soon notice that the hair of the doll is a little receded and has a lip mark. Find it strange, and Miwa, upon hearing that and remembering the little kiss, nearly collapses from so much embarrassment. Finally, the decisive day arrives. Miwa's third match. This time, she is no longer the same. Now she is convinced, determined, and for the first time has a strong reason to win. After all, nothing can stop a determined woman. Right at that moment, Yu and the sisters appear out of nowhere, giving Miwa that kind of support that pushes her to reclaim the title that was rightfully hers. To everyone's surprise, Miwa drops the bomb that she doesn't care about it anymore, that the trophy can go to hell. They insist, demanding a reason, but Miwa shuts her mouth, doesn't say a peep, leaving everyone stunned, scratching their heads, with no clue about what's going on in her mind. Little do they know that the new spark to win came straight from her heart, making everyone around her smile from ear to ear, especially you, whom she so deeply wants to see happy. When she steps into the game room, Sakura realizes instantly, this is no longer the same Miwa she defeated easily, but the old Miwa, the genius who ruled the world of shogi for years on end, like an absolute queen of the board. That lights up something in Sakura's past, bringing back memories she had locked away tight. In her earliest memory, Sakura was nothing but a clumsy mess, the kind of girl no one wanted to play with, always left alone in the corner, as if invisible. But then her mother, in a gesture of pure love, took her to her grandparents' house to try to piece things together and create real bonds. Her grandpa, wise as ever, suggested, "How about we play shogi, Sakura? I'm all sad here because no one wants to have a match with me." At first, she didn't even know the rules and still hated the pawn, thought it was the weakest loser of them all, a fool that could barely move. But Grandpa, with that cradle-born wisdom only a grandfather has, explained, "Look, the pawn may be the weakest piece, but it's the only stubborn one that never stops moving forward no matter what, even when the whole game is against it." Those words hit her deep, like a good punch to the stomach. Sakura saw herself entirely in the pawn, determined, even while stumbling. Excited, she asked Grandpa to teach her everything. In just a few weeks, it was hard to believe. She was already humiliating her own grandfather on the board. From then on, Sakura dived into shogi tournaments, facing opponents of every kind and filling her shelf with shiny trophies. For the first time, even as a clumsy little kid, she felt she had found her own place in the world, a place where she truly shined. But one day, fate threw her straight into the path of the living legend, Miwa. That's when Sakura realized the abyss between them, like heaven and earth. Defeated mercilessly, crushed like a cookie in the wrong hand, she found herself questioning, why such a colossal difference? For the first time in her life, that sense of despair hit. No matter how much she tried, Miwa seemed unreachable, a dream far too distant. But the universe has its ways. One random day in the classroom, some mean girls mocked Sakura for her bad grades, saying her brain was slicker than melted butter. Suddenly, Miwa popped out of nowhere, fired off an epic roast at those fools, reminding them that they had lost badly to Sakura, and that their parents should have given up on them long ago. Then she turned to Sakura and scolded her, "Hey girl, why don't you defend yourself? Hold your head up." To Miwa's surprise, Sakura burst into tears, the kind that come from the soul. She felt like total trash. The very Miwa who had crushed her in shogi was now pitying her? That hurt worse than any checkmate, making Sakura realize Miwa didn't even see her as a threat, just as some pitiful nobody. But then, trying to lift her spirits, Miwa gave her a sincere compliment. "You know what? You use pawns in a way I've never seen before, Sakura. No one else does that. Only you." Boom! That echoed like her grandpa's words about pawns. Slow, but relentless, always moving forward one step at a time, never backing down. Sakura saw herself right there, in the skin of a stubborn pawn, and with her chest puffed out in conviction, she declared outright, "From now on, I'm your rival, Miwa. You can bet I'll catch up to you." While Sakura left flying with motivation, Miwa only thought, "Ugh, why did I open my mouth to this crazy girl?" But now, years later, Sakura looks at herself with pure pride. She is indeed Miwa's true rival. Unlike before, Miwa faces her as an equal, eye to eye, with a champion's respect. Then the duel explodes, the board is on fire, and everyone in the audience holds their breath, watching the two tied in a clash of giants. But in the heat of the fight, to land the surprise blow, Miwa unleashes her signature move, a quick tongue click, advancing the pawn in attack, just like that time years ago. Checkmate. Point for Miwa, who takes the fourth game and ties the score, leaving only one final match to decide everything. The others wait in anticipation at home because Miwa told everyone to stay put, no audience to mess with her focus. While she grinds through the last match, giving her blood, sweat, and tears, the rest of the crew can't sit still. Each one dives into their own thing, but with fire in their eyes, swearing they won't be left behind her no matter what. Hours drag on like an eternity until Miwa comes out of the gym like the queen she is. Absolute winner, title in hand, crowned once again. Reporters swarm around her like bees to honey, but Miwa doesn't even care. She spots Yu in the back of the crowd and runs to him, heart pounding. To her surprise, Yu's eyes are filled with tears, almost breaking down into sobs. She tries to calm him, and then he lets out a smile that shines brighter than the midday sun, congratulating her on her glory. "You crushed it, Miwa. I'm so proud of you." That takes her back to all the smiles he's ever given her. the kind that warm the soul. That's what I want to see forever, she murmurs, reaching out to his face with a gesture full of affection and tenderness. Right in that magical moment, Kazuki and Nico show up, left speechless at the sight. To everyone's surprise, Miwa, on impulse, plants a soft kiss on Yu's forehead, just like the way she kissed a sweet earlier. The moment she realizes what she's done, she turns red as a chili pepper. But before the situation can become a total embarrassment, a foreign couple suddenly appears to congratulate her on the victory. Miwa, with flawless English, replies naturally, leaving Yu jaw-dropped. The sisters, seeing the scene, whisper to him that Miwa studied abroad for years, which is why she's so fluent in the language. To cover up the awkwardness, Miwa tosses out a lame excuse. That kiss was just a foreign way of saying thanks for the support. Relax. And she even teases with a cheeky grin. What's wrong? Jealous over a little forehead kiss? The sisters, keeping the rhythm, also congratulate her on her achievement, which brings a wave of nostalgia to Miwa. In a spontaneous gesture, she kisses both of them on the forehead, thanking them for their unconditional support, overflowing with gratitude. Yu, excited by the moment, suggests, "Let's take a picture to make this last forever." And off they go, the three of them together, snapping a selfie full of smiles that seem to light up the world. Meanwhile, Sakura watches everything from a distance, with the weight of defeat still on her shoulders. But despite the setback, she feels immense pride for finally being seen by Miwa as an equal, someone who can go toe-to-toe on the board. Looking at Yu, she wonders, what's a regular guy like him doing in the middle of such talented sisters? But instead of discouraging her, that lights a spark of hope. If a pawn like her can get this far, who's to say she won't one day surpass even the kings and queens of shogi? The next day, life returns to its usual pace. Miwa is getting beaten badly at shogi by an AI, Nico is training hard as always, and Yu helps Kazuki prepare a morning smoothie for her health. But when she tastes it, the thing is more like dog rinse water. Yu apologizes, dying of embarrassment, and goes to take a sip to confirm the disaster. But Kazuki, with her crush radar on, realizes it would be an indirect kiss, and flustered, grabs the cup and gulps it all down at once, her face blazing. Later, Yu hands fresh towels to Nico, who notices he switched the softener for one with a nicer scent. "Thanks, Yu, it's great," she says, grateful. Then, out of nowhere, Yu blurts out that the towel is soft. Nico, all flustered, thinks he's talking about her and turns redder than a ripe tomato. Later, while Miwa is grinding away at shogi practice, she runs out of snacks. Yu, ever helpful, shows up with some pudding she loves. Since Miwa can't eat and play at the same time, he, shamelessly, offers, "Want me to feed you with the spoon?" Miwa freezes instantly, looking like a pretzel twisted up in embarrassment, but accepts, heart racing. At breakfast, the house turns into a party. Everyone chatting, laughing, and teasing each other like a real family. Yu looks at that scene and feels deep inside that he's living his mother's dream. A happy family, full of affection and chaos. But when the sisters rush out to train, they're in such a hurry that Yu doesn't even get to say goodbye. Only to his surprise, they stop at the door and wait for him outside. Instead of Yu saying goodbye, it's them who, with radiant smiles, send him a "bye, see you later" that fills his chest with warmth. That's when he realizes the dream family is right there with the three Mikadono sisters. That night, however, Yu arrives home with an unexpected visitor, Sakura. With all the determination in the world, she declares that she wants to spend the night there to study Miwa up close, learn every detail of her game, and maybe defeat her in the next shogi season, which is just around the corner. And so ends the first season of this wonderful anime. Thanks for watching today's recap, guys. Until the next video.